I'm Emily Brooks Millar and I'm a visual artist and an author that creates paintings, books, drawings within my imagined world of a broken apple. I always think it's quite hard to describe my own work, but it's probably best described as morality tales with lots of funny characters, creepy and cute, that maybe could appeal to kids and adults at the same time. I think I base everything around morality tales because I think that's such an accessible thing. Older people understand it, young people understand, and you always get versions of that through books, film, media, everywhere. But I think for me there's this kind of eclectic cast of characters that maybe started with one character in one book, and then over the years they get their own painting show, then they get their own animation, and I love the idea of this kind of world building of everything coming together, and that makes the work recognisable, but it also makes people invested in, oh, what's coming next? Do these characters meet each other? What happens when they cross over? And it's kind of like creating a little group of friends that all have their own quirks and charms. So I did like a bit of a 360 where I started as a little kid wanting to be an artist and then tried out everything else and ended up back at day dot. So my whole thing was do well in school, go on to art school, get a really good degree, and then you will just be a full-time artist. And then you realise that that's not really how things work. So I'd done quite well in school, but they weren't too keen to kind of encourage the creative side of things. And from that, I ended up doing a lot of work experience. I worked for like The Big Issue, I did BBC work experience, STV work experience, and I sort of little by little figured out I love creative things, but I don't necessarily want to work for these companies. It's so important to know what you want to do, but I think you can only really figure that out from knowing what you don't want to do. And I think you need to make a lot of mistakes. I think at the time I'd only seen art school as the path, that was it. And I was very much like, well, if I'm not in art school, I can't have a creative job. But then over the course of the year after, when I was working different jobs, doing work experience, I sort of realised that you can figure out your own path with it all. And I was kind of fueled by the no, sitting with a group of people that said, oh, okay, these things look great, here's your score sheet back, here's what you're good at, here's what you could be better at. I was like, well, I can just take that list, apply it to my own thing, and then hopefully do it myself as well. I've got a mix of friends that do creative things, and maybe half of them went to an art school or some sort of creative university, and the other half didn't at all and sort of stumbled their way into what they're doing now. So I think the more I spoke to people that had done these courses, I realised, oh, I didn't really need to be there in the first place. And then also speaking to people that were maybe in their 40s, 50s, 60s, who were practicing artists, and they said, oh, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. It's not something that you're even going to look back on and remember. But at the time I thought, oh, this is really a make or break situation, and it just wasn't. I think probably an ideal day in the studio is get up early. I work from home, so I kind of like waking up before the street has woken up. It's nice to see people's lights turn on throughout the day. And I particularly like, whether it's a book, an exhibition, a collection of drawings, having something be at the very beginning where I go, oh, okay, I know this one's going to be maybe 12 pieces, or this book's going to be 72 pages, and basically getting to sit down and map out what that story looks like, because no matter what the format is, for me it's all about storytelling. So there is a beginning, a middle and an end, and I think no matter what form that takes, I quite like sitting with a sketchbook and figuring out every step of the way. And I think at the end of that day I can go, oh, I've got a framework that I can now be a bit silly with and put my own kind of style on top of that. So it's probably my favourite day. I work from home and my partner works here as well. So even if he's typing away and he's busy, we usually chat through like an initial idea that we have, and when we hear what the other one thinks or what works or doesn't work, And then I have representatives that there's someone in the UK, there's someone in New York, and depending on what the show is or what I'm doing, I might say, oh hey, I've got this idea, what do you think? And they usually have some sort of feedback where there's little tweaks and changes. And I think it's really good to, even before you set foot into something, have people go, oh hey, here's what the problems could be, because you need to be aware of time and money and funding for things as well. I think I never want to put a lesson onto someone. For all the stories are kind of morality tales. I wouldn't want to say, oh, this is your beginning, middle and end, even if I have my own version of what that should be. So I think morality is a really subjective thing, and people can really bring their own personality to the table, their own experiences. And I think especially not coming from an art school background, I love the idea of being in a white-walled gallery that isn't intimidating for people, that people can come in no matter what their background is, and they feel they just have something to say about it, whether that's big or small. So I think if there's any advice from it, it's to be confident in your own work. And just because one place might not like it or one person might not like it, doesn't mean that that's a industry write-off. You just have to keep persisting. I think if I wasn't organised, it would so easily just fall apart, because I'd be like, oh, I don't know what to do tomorrow. Whereas if I've got it all written down, it's like instructions that are there for the rest of the week. But yeah, I have a giant diary. I have every day of the week written down, and it's really, really important to give yourself time off when you're self-employed as well, because it's so easy to go, oh, these people might be free on a Saturday or free on a Sunday, but for you and your own brain and your own creativity, it's not a great idea as well. I think I always try to think of the year ahead and what could be happening every month of that year. And not everything can go to plan, but there are applications that open for markets. There are applications for funding, and there's certain things that are fixed, that are out with your control. So if you can kind of get ahead of the curve and put everything out there, you've given yourself the best shot to making it your full-time income as well. If I were to restart again tomorrow, I think having a really good website's important. That I don't have any social media. I used to, and there was quite a proactive choice to not have it anymore because it didn't really change my own personal audience. So depending on what your business is or your service is, that might be a really good thing, but for me it just stopped being as valuable. So my website acts as my first point of contact, it's my portfolio, it's where people can directly buy things, and I think that's basically like your front-facing thing for everyone to see. So I'd probably say good website for one, and then start with a range of products if you want to make products or pieces that are probably low cost. So using things that are recycled, using things that are on the cheaper end of materials, creating things that are in small batches. Don't order 200 of something if you've not tried it out yet. And I think you can put little tasters and feelers out there. And I think I've always been surprised at how gracious other businesses are, whether it's pop-ups, whether it's markets, that if you say to them, oh, could I put my work in here? I'm a new artist, I've not done this before, or I want to test out this product and it maybe would work in your space. People usually want you to do well and to root for you. So in terms of highlights, I really enjoyed the Goma Youth Group, which was I think 2021 to 2022, and that was in the Gallery of Modern Art in Glasgow. And there was a group of maybe 12 to 14 of us that were all under 22, I think, at the time. And we thought, oh, half of us are curators, half of us are painters and artists. We could put on a group exhibition together. And it was a really rewarding experience in that I didn't know a lot about how internally these things work and how they're put together, especially not having an art school background. So we got to do that together and that was put on. And for me, that had been like a really long-term goal and it happened. So I thought, what can I do now? Maybe a solo exhibition. And in 2023, I had my first solo exhibition in Vienna, which is probably another highlight as well, where it's new country, new people, new companies, and thankfully it was well received and quite a nice experience. I think you can't be afraid of getting things wrong. I think as someone that's a bit of a perfectionist, that was a hard thing to come over in the first place. So I think you need to try new things, you have to meet new people, you have to embarrass yourself a little bit, you have to sell yourself. There's nothing embarrassing about pursuing what you want to do. If you can give yourself that opportunity, why wouldn't you do it? And there's small ways that you can do that over email. There's mixers you can go to, there's businesses you can speak to that you already like and you might know. But I think you have to get a lot of things wrong to get something right. You need to speak to people, you need to know other creatives, you need to know other business owners or people that are self-employed. And that doesn't necessarily mean people that do what you do, but people that you can confide in, people that understand the space a little bit. And you don't really want to put all of your eggs in one basket, because say you sign up with one gallery, one shop, or say you just have your own website and that's it. It's quite a risky business already. And if you put everything in one person, that could fall apart quite quickly. So to just kind of spread your wings and meet as many people as you can. You know, I kind of plan out things day to day quite easily, but I don't always think of the bigger picture at the end. And I think it would be great to have a big series of books. I've got 3 already. The first editions are kind of more or less gone now, and I'll be working on the second editions of those. So I'd quite like to have a big catalogue, and then second, maybe have a show in the Tate in London.